Hi, my name is Petra. I'm a wedding planner and a wedding officiant and the founder and CEO of Cancun Wedding Center. Now, I've started off in weddings over 20 years ago when I was asked by a friend in the UK if I could officiate her wedding for her. At the time, I knew pretty much nothing about weddings, so I did some research, overcame my fear of public speaking and performed her ceremony and thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't know at the time that I was going to move to Mexico in 2002 and that my then husband at the time was a photographer, and I accompanied him to a lot of weddings, and what I saw was sometimes very nice and sometimes not so nice. So I took points and decided I can make it better, I can do it better. Now the reason why I'm saying that was because a lot of the wedding officiants at the time were simply just reading from a script and changing the name. Also, they were asking the women to obey their husbands and giving instructions on how to raise children. Now, I understand that Mexico is predominantly Catholic, but these are things that should actually not be said unless they were agreed with a couple beforehand. So I decided I'm going to work differently. But I will tell you more about my work as the CEO of Cancun Wedding Center and about my work as a wedding officiant in a different video, as it involves many points that I will be talking about in the upcoming videos, and I can't cover everything. So let's get to the planning of weddings. I only plan weddings, small weddings up to 15 people. And the reason for this is quite simply because most of the hotels and wedding planners don't like to do small weddings because, quite honestly, they can't make enough money. That's the truth. Also, a lot of independent wedding planners don't like to accept the smaller weddings because if a big wedding comes along, they've blocked the day and they can't fulfill it. They have to fulfill the wedding that they've actually already booked. Now, we all understand that planning a wedding is not an easy task because most people have never done it before. They have no idea what it involves, or only a small idea what it involves. And planning a destination wedding is even more difficult because you're not at the location yourself. Now, some people decide to plan their own wedding, which is absolutely great. However, if you're in a different country and you don't speak the language, you don't know how things work, everything is bound to get more difficult and frustrating, and a wedding day is not an ordinary day where it's okay to leave things to chance. There is a saying, life is not a rehearsal and neither is a wedding day. Now, I always recommend that you do hire a wedding planner. Most of them are very reasonable and either have a set price or they charge a percentage of the overall cost of the weddings. Now, some brides that plan a destination wedding feel more comfortable of bringing their own wedding coordinator and even some of the providers with them to the wedding. However, I will talk about the pros and cons about doing that in another video. Now, most of you know the basics, like choosing a venue, booking a wedding officiant, flowers, photographer, maybe a videographer. But there's so many other details that are important if you want to have a smooth wedding and not worry about it on your big day. You need to have somebody who can oversee things. They need to make sure that everyone is on time, whether it's the guests or the providers, that the setup is done correctly, that the sequence of events is according to schedule, that you have someone who can deal with unforeseen problems or an emergency. Sometimes the dress might get ripped or stained or some other little things happen. You have to trust and feel comfortable with a wedding planner because he or she is your best friend during the planning period, and they need to know exactly what you like and what you dislike. Now, you need to click with them, basically, because at the end of the day, you are the one that has to put all their trust in them. You have to rely on them to choose the best providers for your wedding according to your budget. that the providers they have chosen are punctual, that they're nice to work with, and that they work to your standards. Now you need to need someone as well who can think ahead and even when the need arises, make decisions on your behalf. Location is also very important. Do you want the same location for the ceremony and for the reception, for example? Or do you want to have different locations for both? If you have different locations, will you need to organize transport? Another question that you might have to ask yourself is, because a lot of the all-inclusive hotels will charge a day pass for guests and providers that are not staying at the hotel. So that is something else that you need to consider in your budget. If the venue is going to be private is another question you have to consider for yourself. Or are you okay if there's other people on the beach? Is there a backup plan in case of rain? Or is there shade? Or are you going to be in the sun for most of the time? Because that will also affect your dress choice at the end of the day. If you're looking for a location that's a little bit out of the way, you need to know if there is a changing facility. If you're in a hotel, until what time will the celebrations be allowed to take place? What is the food that they offer? Is it only what's the best option if you have different people? You like vegetarians, vegans, people who like fish, people who like meat. Is it best to have a buffet or a sit-down dinner? The other thing is drinks are always very expensive because they add up. And a nice thing is to ask yourself, can you buy open bar, or can you even bring your own drinks to the location? These are only some of the questions that will come up when you plan a destination wedding, and I don't want to put you off from planning your dream wedding. I will explain how everything works in detail in different videos. So do subscribe to my channels to learn more and see what is the best option for you. Now, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below or email me at minister.petra@gmail.com. Until then, you take care and you have a wonderful day. Bye.